is Gotay, and I am a spoken word artist.
Art, music, literature, and fashion, just to name a few. When we create, we're pop culture's favorite hue. We are obedient, determined, and dedicated. And this is Master of Vibe.
It was in the yelling that I heard the coldest silence that has ever gripped my soul. They say that silence speaks louder than words, but his words outshine symphonies, each syllable spoken dissipating any and every bit of treasured wonder that can be found in silence. The wonder that lets me decide whether or not I am still worth it, whether or not us is still worth it. Each letter that came out of his mouth broke the comforting coldness that silence carries. If he is silent, it is easier to convince myself that he still cares, that he's mustering up an apology, that he's concocting a master plan to make us be held together by more than just tape and glue. This lack of silence makes me loathe him, except I know I love him. "You make me crazy," he shouts. "I love you," my brain utters. "You're the reason my life is hell," he bellows. "I love you," my throat shackles these words down to my esophagus. "You've let yourself go. Snap out of this fantasy world you're in," he spits. "I love you," I whisper under my breath. "I'm going out. Don't wait up," he exclaims firmly. I love him, but his presence isn't ever present when he's around me, so he does not hear what he does not see. There's the silence, the familiar slippery slope solidifying my inability to see the reality that he doesn't respect me, value me, love me, see me. Silence speaks louder than words, but silence does not speak the words he does not say. Silence speaks fantasy. Silence speaks happy. If he isn't saying anything, I can convince myself he loves me. He comes home. His eyes speak of her laugh. His voice smells like her kiss. His clothes soaked in the alcohol. He couldn't resist. There is still silence. He's asleep in 5 minutes with a 2-second glance and grunt in my direction. Silence ceased bringing me fantasy. Silence ceased bringing me happy. I look at the casket we lay in that he calls a bed. Even though the last time he touched me, I became dead. Each feel-up, what kiss and perusing of my body planted maggots in my organs. He had to go from the inside out so that I'd still be pretty enough to look at, his personal corpse bride, minus the wonder, the luster, and the blue skin. I packed the essentials: toiletries, a change of clothes, 1 pair of shoes, cash, my last bit of fantasy, my last bit of happy. Silence gives me the cover I need to slip away. He won't notice my absence until he wants to unload more maggots. I wondered what I'd say to him if he found me. The door closes behind me. I lock it with force, intentionally disturbing the silence enough so that I don't unlock the door and open myself up for more maggots. The fantasy begins. If he finds me, I'll look him in his eyes that look like hers. I'll scan his lips and remember his kiss that began feeling like hers. I'll smell his breath, it'll smell like her breakfast in bed. I'll tell him that I want meaningful loud, the loud that disrupts silence to add something beautiful to the world. I want words that prompt me to see the reality that someone can value me, love me, see me. I want a present presence that speaks fiercely, telling me that my being is a prime example of life, imitating art. I want loud fantasy, I want loud happy. I'll tell him he squandered silence. He was not supple and soft, he was bitter and tart, blistering the beauty of staring silently into someone's eyes, unbelieving of how we ended up in the thick of something spoken of in fantasies, something spoken of in happy. The latter half is true. I'm unbelieving of how I ended up in the thick of something that robbed me of fantasies, robbed me of happy. I loved him more when he was silent than when he spoke. I don't want that anymore. I don't deserve that. When he tries to speak, I'll yell, "Silence!" I deserve loud. I deserve words that are better than fantasy. I deserve words that bring happy. He'll interrupt. He'll ask if I've fallen for someone else, someone new. He'll ask if my image of him was tainted by a titillating stranger because his silent late-night sensation has become loud, no longer catering to his obsession with doing me in a casket. I'll cut off the period of his sentence, not allowing enough time for him to take a breath and speak again. I'll tell him I am no longer a weak-walking corpse. His eyes will shift, and they'll look like mine. Something that has not happened since he met her on train 3. For a moment I'll falter. My mind repeats 3. I'll open my mouth and speak, psychopathically calm. The ball is in my court. 1. You may no longer speak. See me. Sit silently. See me. 2. Yes, there is someone new. 3, this someone is nothing like you. 3, this someone values me, loves me, sees me. 3, this someone lays me down in a bed, not a casket. They've plucked all the maggots you placed in my organs one by one. 3, they planted a garden of daisies because daisies will keep growing no matter what you do to them. 3, there's nothing wrong with fantasy. 3, there's everything wrong with how I allowed you to silence me. 3, there's someone who hates odd numbers and it's all because of you. 3, they're learning to not subject odd numbers to the crimes you have committed. 3, they have so much love for me that there is no room for you anymore. You cannot pick, trim, and or snip my daisies. Their roots are too deep for your reach, their petals too firm for your scissoring slimy hands, and stems too steel for you to kiss, to make them weak, wither, and wilt. 3, maintain your silence. I do not care for your loud. 3, I am my someone new. I value me. I love me. I see me. 3, I am fantasy. I am happy. 3, you may end your silence now. My presence is no longer present to hear your loud. Thank you. I'm from Puerto Rico. There's moved around a lot growing up, but definitely still got a lot of love for my little island. I started poetry in middle school, so it's been 10 plus years now, maybe, something like that. It's been a while. Like many other people, I do poetry so that I have a sense of release. But in many ways, I do it because I feel like I was given the ability to be able to write things that maybe sometimes people can't describe or explain. And so I have a right to do just that and to hopefully make somebody out there feel a little less alone. Oh man. God, my professor in middle school, Mr. Grania, he was the person that kickstarted all of it. But I will say that I definitely take a lot of my style kind of from Rudy Francisco. And this other spoken word artist named Desiree. Her last name is really complicated. So if you ever see this Desiree, I'm sorry. But I believe it's Desiree Del Magaccio or something along those lines. She is absolutely amazing. To the grave. What's next? So I'm currently in the process of mapping out a spoken word album. And then hopefully once I have the framework done, I can start pulling in on different artists that I know, really get this going. I think it could definitely be something beautiful for the world. But yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at Esoteric Poetry. There are no hyphens or spaces, nothing. It's just one word lumped together. And that's pretty much the only place that I post my poetry for the time being. But I will be starting a blog for my poetry as well soon. Until I find the day, the only words I know that you